let's talk for a few minutes about locksmiths and gardening and gas stations and needs. Anne and a few other people have had some really juicy things to say in the discussion board. And I want to begin by pointing out just how difficult it is to be a locksmith in 2017. As a locksmith, you need to find people who are locked out of their car or locked out of their house. In that moment, they have a very significant need. And they are telling themselves a very simple story. I am locked out and I want to get let in. In that moment, they need a locksmith, and just about no one else does. And in that moment, they take out their phone and they do a Google search for locksmith. And if you win the search, you get the business. And if you don't win the search, you don't. And so there's a huge number of scam artists and shortcutters who are better at winning the search than you are. You can find online all these stories of people who have manipulated the system. And being a good, honest, day-to-day, empathetic locksmith is harder than it has ever been before, because they are waiting for someone to be in emergency mode. So back to Anne's post. She was highlighting the idea that if she's driving through Texas and she realizes that she's in a rural part of the state, she's driving down the highway and she only has 10 miles left of gas, if there's a gas station on the side of the road, she's going to pull over and fill up at any price. Now, that gas station really doesn't have a dependable, scalable business model. They just have to hope, like the locksmith, that they're in the right place at the right time, serving somebody who needs that problem solved. But she says, if there's a Buc-ee's at the side of the road, and I've never been to Buc-ee's, I'll take her word for it, she'll look at her gas tank, and if there's even half full, she'll pull over, because those are her people. That's her experience. She feels like she is part of something. I'm guessing she experiences a little nostalgia. She feels like a human. That's a fundamentally different marketing position. There's nothing wrong with being in this business of solving urgent existential needs. We need people to do that. But if you're going to do that, accept the fact that proximity to people with those needs is the first step. Then you have to do the other things we're going to talk about: earn trust, educate, go to the next level, the next level, the next level. But most of us don't do a job that is about solving emergency existential needs. That what we do is we try to engage people, to take them to a new place, to help them get something that they need and want in a more efficient or more delightful way, to connect them to others. But it's so easy to conflate the two. So the purpose of this back and forth that we've had over the last week is to understand that we are going to make a choice. And if you're in the other business, the business of dreams and hopes and connection and community, then be in that business. And don't worry so much about proving that you are solving an existential need better than the next person on the list. So that's the choice that we're trying to make. So once you make that choice, then the challenge back to you is, how are you going to find people, or how will they find you, who share a worldview, who share an easily stereotyped persona, so you can speak to them as a group and say, you, people like you who have dreams like this is how we make those dreams come true. The lonely, the disconnected, the people who are seeking other sorts of meaning. And one of the things that I've noticed, it's two sides of the same coin in our discussions, is this. Some people have had the aha moment of realizing that all this modern stuff we sell and market is still solving old desires, still addressing old wants and dreams, just new ways to do it, right? That people don't have a cat because they want to have a cat. They have a cat because it solves something inside of them. It's a part of the puzzle. And it could have been replaced by something else if cats had never existed. For some people, it's solved by a rabbit, and some people, it's solved by a stereo or an online exchange. But the point is that that specific thing we do, that music lesson, that library service, that coaching, those exist primarily to address these unstated needs. And I'm using the word needs in the vernacular. What I really should say is unstated wants and dreams and desires, our thirsts. So if that's the business you're in, what we have to do is strip away all of our RFP-oriented, checklist-oriented, feature-oriented stuff, because that's not the core of it. It's essential, but it's not the core. So that when someone comes out with a drill that has a longer lasting battery, they can spend all their time talking about the longer lasting battery. But what they're really talking about is how you as a contractor feel around your peers, knowing you're not going to run out of power. What does that mean for the kind of person that's in a business like that? Not just what does it mean for efficiency, hours on the job, return on investment. What does it mean as a craftsperson, as a hauler of stuff, as someone who changes the physical world around them, to have this magic thing in your hand that doesn't run out of power? That is the subtext behind a longer lasting battery. And it's these subtexts that match up with the personas and the worldviews that will enable us to go to our next step, which is to figure out how to tell stories that resonate.